afternoon, everyone. This is Gerald Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, August 8th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. I'll be doing a webinar with PAO on the 21st of August, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. That's with Sheldon Idle, Colleen Marshall. Had this civilization been all of us on the same page, in other words, the same understanding, we would evolve all at once to the high vibrational frequency. But since that isn't the case, which isn't a negative, if it is, it's not the case, because some of us will, others later. See, some of us will, and others will later. We are all of us are deeply consumed by this world every day. The moment we open our eyes in the morning, the mind kicks in. And we are flooded with all sorts of beliefs, emotions, and desires. It can become very easy in this day and age to feel consumed, lost, or confused. We are constantly dealing with a massive amount of information and social pressure every day. Pressure with finances, relationships, love life, family, work, and health problems are all at the foundation. And then there's our newly found technological relationships, right? And they're not so new with the cell phone, internet, texting. We may spend most of our day just trying to figure out how to get through it alive. This technological era we are in is so captivating that we can easily miss out on the connection with our amazing spiritual existence. And see, that's its intent, though. And understand that all these technologies they stem from the rogue AI. And it's nice, right? And we have certain conveniences and we adapt quickly and we use them to basically help our lives be easier. It's at least physical application and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a seduction. It's being seduced. And it's worked well, hasn't it? Because it keeps us distracted and it keeps us away from the gods that we are. So now it's not like we do this on purpose. We just have it. We do it. If we were surrounded every day by people whose only interest was in achieving enlightenment, this world that we're in would be a very, very, very different place. Yet, we have chosen a planet where everyone is still deeply asleep to their divine enlightened nature. In fact, we are all so asleep that we don't even know that we are asleep. And you guys know that. You see this. It's not a judgment. You take it in. You have loved ones. You have acquaintances, contacts, friends, family members, so on and so forth. and you see it, that the majority of us are still deeply asleep to their divine enlightened nature. And so asleep that we don't even know that we are asleep. See, that goes into consciousness. We're conscious. I can guarantee you that every single one of us are conscious beings. We have not been unconscious for 3,500 years. Isn't that amazing? We are not unconscious beings. We are all conscious beings. But we don't know we are conscious beings. And I can't say every, I can't say every human being. I can say a lot of us, okay? A lot of us are sleepwalking through this life, meaning that we are always plugged into the mind. The veil is so thick, and it still is with a lot of people, and the pattern's so deep that we need to use everything we've got to wake up. This means using everything you can find outside of you and inside of you. Any real ecstasy is a sign you are moving in the right direction. Don't let any prude or anyone tell you otherwise. St. Teresa of Avila. Use everything around you to find the God that you are. Use every conversation as a vehicle to listen to the divine. Use all your senses everywhere you go. Touch, taste, feel, hear, and even breathe. The breath. And the smell of the divine. Use every moment of your free time to find deep silence, stillness, and inner peace, so you can connect deeper with the divine. This means cell phone face down, put on silent, right? Any tech that you're using, put it down. You can use the media, all the excessive advertising that is constantly dumped on us to find God. When you read something that jumps out at you, try to notice how it's spiritual message just for you. This happens to us a lot. Some of us, we kind of have this little tinge. You could be walking by a bunch of books, right? And you get this, it's kind of, wait a minute. Back up a minute. Look over here. And you look and you pick a book out and you go, I'm drawn to this book, so I'm going to look at it, right? When you feel like you might be making some form of connection to God, breathe that feeling deeply into your body. Stop everything and give this experience all that you've got, because it might not last long. It might be just very brief, okay? Notice how the feeling resonates with what's going on in your life. Find the practical aspects, right? Like, how does this simple billboard advertisement give me the deepest guidance I'm needing in my relationships right now? See, there's no coincidences. There's none. God is always around us, each of us, all around you, in you, through you. We only have synchronicity in this life. Everything is perfect and divinely aligned. The God source never ever makes mistakes. When we are 100% devoted to finding total alignment with the divine within us, in everything around us, the magic will its way into you. Some of us have discovered one thing about the spiritual awakening process that is absolutely certain. If and when you want access to the most amazing spiritual experience in this life, it is going to take everything you've got. The enlightened state is definitely not like anything you've experienced before. There are no more problems in your life, period. There are only deeper and deeper connections with the divine. Enlightenment is not for the half-assed, skeptical seeker, the protective pessimist, or the mind addict that is super smart intellectually. It's for that ordinary being who has devoted their entire heart and soul to something beyond this world. It's for that simple soul who wants to create the deepest, healthiest relationship with themselves and the God source. The biggest difference of all, perhaps, is that their connection with God is their highest priority all throughout the day. True love, my dear, is putting an ironclad grip upon the soft, swollen balls of a divine rogue elephant and not having the good fortune to die. That statement came from Hafiz. There's a lot of meaning in it. The question that we should be asking ourselves, are you open to exploring your connection with the divine now? Chances are that you're probably wondering, what's the right way? How to do it? Or are feeling hesitant, reluctant, or thinking that maybe this week is not the right time. There will always be super important things which we need to do, right? Yet the reality is that our souls have been waiting for real spiritual liberation for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And yes, we have all been preparing for a profound spiritual experience forever. We are here to let go of everything and find our real connection to the divine again. Rediscovery. We've been learning major life lessons after major life lessons after major life lessons, tilling the hard, tough inner soil inside of us just so that one day our souls could find some higher enlightened state of being. We were born to find some way home to ourselves. So our minds are always free from all fear, resistance, stagnation, and separation. The enlightened mindset just happens when we return to the pure source of awareness that is behind the mind. When we discover the awareness behind every thought that we are thinking, we come closer to the most sacred intelligence in all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. This is who we truly are. The funny thing is that there is only one tiny thing stopping us from seeing, feeling, and knowing that God is here now. And this is our own minds. Our minds are so full of personal beliefs and ideas about life that there's too much There's not much room for anything else. It is overflowing so much that we have become blind to God. So a heads up for all of us. Watch out for the mind. It is the only thing stopping us right now. So I want you to try something this week. Choose to or choose not to. The next time you're in front of a mirror, and a lot of people have issues with this. This is interesting. The next time you're in front of a mirror, look non-judgmentally into the mirror. See, a lot of people will look in the mirror and be judgmental. Oh, look at my skin, look at my hair, look at my eyes, look at the wrinkles, look at me. Okay? Non-judgmentally into the mirror. Just notice, what do you see? Do you see how amazing, multidimensional, and extremely beautiful you truly are? Or do you see all of your flaws and shortcomings? If the mind is not set aside, we can only see and hear what it thinks is good and bad. The mind can be extremely judgmental. And this is pure entertainment for the ego. We despise being bored, so we cling to all sorts of opinions about right and wrong. As long as we are over-identified with the attached with and attached to opinions of good, bad, we cannot spiritually awaken. As long as we are over-identified with and attached to opinions of good and bad, we cannot spiritually awaken. Just remember that all of life is a grand play. And the nature of the mind is to create contrasts and comparisons. The mind doesn't like the gray middle path. When the mind is too empty, it seeks something juicy to fill it. Let go of filling up the mind and find the spiritual being that you are. This is in silence and stillness within. Interestingly, the heart is not judgmental at all. The heart only loves, accepts, and embraces what is. So don't trust the mind. Trust your heart instead. Be free of the mind and just remain in the heart. You will soon, in time, find the divine. And this is a miracle. The moment that you realize that there is no way to make a home, then this whole existence is home. Then wherever you are at home. Course in Miracles. Every day, we get lost in a sea of duality. The pendulum will swing back and forth from being lost to being found again and again and again. Our minds are not the only minds out there that are making a living hell or heaven out of each moment. Everyone is doing this, We are all blind to the divine. We simply have to choose to learn how to release all attachments, trust in God, and surrender to its totality. When we take this risk to dissolve back into the source, in each moment, we naturally discover how everything around us is helping, guiding us to be free. The good news is that we've got 1 billion more lifetimes to become enlightened. God is never, ever going to stop loving us. Now, the unfriendly news is that if it's postponed, you'll miss out on the 1,000 opportunities heading your way today. There's no real end to this journey. We don't die when we die. We don't die when we die. So truly, there is nothing whatsoever to be concerned about. When we realize we are eternal beings, it's the realization of that we are eternal beings. What's there to be worried or fearful about? Really? We are on an infinite journey. We are always safe on the right path. We've made it this far. And we are still a very conscious and deeply sensitive being. This is a very good sign. It's a very positive sign. May not think about it. Every tomorrow has two handles. We can take hold of it with the handle of anxiety or the handle of faith. Henry Ward Beecher. Have you ever met a stress-free being? Ask yourself, have you ever met a stress-free being? They don't have a sign on them, I'm a stress-free being. They're just like us. Yet they have adopted a variety of different ways of seeing, interpreting, and understanding this world that allows them to fully live in this world, yet not get caught in its drama. You ever met people like that? They're not, hanging in the ego mind and trying to impress or anything. So they fully live in this world, yet they don't get caught up in its drama. The beings who are always relaxed inside, serious, and they are, free from any kind of stress, have a constant expanding perception of themselves. They know no limits to what is possible. They also know no destination other than now. They experience no hesitation, procrastination, or postponement of their lives, because life is too juicy being here now. A stress-free being loves life too much to be stressed out about it. Their mind does not get stuck on judgments of themselves or others and releases them the instant they do arise. They have no resistance to life's multidimensional barrage of experiences. Thus, they hold no tension in their body's nervous system. Any stressful constrictions of blood vessels caused by adrenaline rushes, doubt, fear, anger are instantly released, so they can dive deeper into more experiences of joy, love, and freedom. They simply have their priorities straight. A stress-free being is not trying to avoid an early death because they are too consumed with loving life. Okay? A stress-free being is not trying to avoid an early death because they are too consumed with loving life, enjoying the illusion of it all and having a great time all the way to the grave. They know that everything is always going to change, and they trust they are always guided in this constant changing flow of life. When they connect with other people, they know it may be their last moments together, and yet are relaxed because they understand that everyone is an infinite being who will never, ever, ever, ever die. Remember, these are just suits. Because this wisdom circulates in their thought, emotions, and physical body, they are constantly tapped into a perpetual flow of bliss within themselves. Stress-free people have learned one key technique. And here it is. That stress is the number one signal from the body to stop whatever they are doing and let it all go. They know avoidance strategies don't work. And to ignore this signal and keep going will only cause future pain. They only want to transcend the mental prison of their ego's agenda, even though they've practiced the art of letting go and releasing for years. They always consider themselves to be a student. They are always learning. They've truly come around to embracing their own innocence. They can see and feel that within the innermost core is this pure being. They know this is the simple ecstasy every one of us is seeking. People who embrace a stress-free way of life have very playful energy. This entire universe is their playground. They play with all kinds of people from all walks and worlds. They also welcome any experience they come in contact with. They know how easily to handle any negative thoughts that arise in their minds. They never take these negative things too seriously and choose instead a playful approach on the inner world as well as the outer. A stress-free being resists nothing. When negative feelings and a grumpy state enters the mind, they invite it in openly and experience the pattern it's holding fully. Everything that occurs in their minds, emotions, bodies, are welcomed as a guest that is here to visit for a short time. They know the bigger picture of this life, so they can welcome each thought and feeling and not get stuck in them. They see every negative thought as a small water rapid down the infinite river of life. And so they kick back, relish the ride over them. Someone who constantly lives in the stress-free zone has tapped into the truth of their being. They live each moment connected to the truth that they are an infinite being that knows no death. They know the body will come and go. Yet who they are cannot be harmed or impacted by the outer world. When we fully embrace this knowing, it is impossible for stress to exist in our world, for we realize that all outer world situations are temporary experiences that cannot touch the beauty and lightness of our being. Realize the truth, and you will be truly free. You are not this mind, nor this body. You are the radiant eternal light that cannot be dimmed in any way, shape, or form. Our true selves continue to shine brightly through all of the adventures of being a human being that the mind may label as stressful. Whatever may cause our minds to feel stressed out is simply the mind being overly attached to a certain limited thought or form. When we realize the truth of who we are, the mind has to let go automatically, and we are free. So I'll share 3 powerful practices that can support you in living a completely free life where you know and remember your timeless, infinite nature. First one, I think we all know this. Quiet your mind. The meditative mind is a divine mind. It is simply being here in the now. It has become so relaxed that it is actually laser focused, pointing towards mindfulness in the now. Every stress-free being will tell you there is no better moment in your life than this one that is happening right now. Meditation is a way to quiet the mind so we can see that all experiences, negative and positive, are paths for the soul to discover this higher universal source. A quiet mind can hear their intuition clearly, so they can establish deeper connections with everyone in the world and manifest a much more peaceful experience of life. A quiet mind is much easier to live with than a busy mind. I don't think any of us will argue that. 2, celebrate what is now. Attachment to our past and future is what creates the greatest amount of stress in our lives. Attachment to our past and future is what creates the greatest amount of stress in our lives. Since this moment is the only thing that is real, choose to be constantly celebrating what is happening now. If and when you're experiencing a problem, celebrate it. That problem will soon be deeply eternal love in disguise. Life is actually not about overcoming your problems right? And karma. It is a celebration of all opposites until there is equanimity in the mind and complete balance of emotions, which leads us into total freedom of consciousness. How could the mind know light without shadow, or depth without shallowness? The mind exists in a state of perpetual ebb and flow of the tides. Celebration of this play is what makes us masters of our lives. Whatever it is that's happening in your life right now, there is some way you can celebrate it. There is always another door opening where one has closed. Now is that moment that is filled with life's amazing qualities. Just realizing this little secret will assist us greatly in choosing to see the miraculous instead of the mundane wherever we are. 3, remember your infinite nature. As we go through our days, pause regularly to remember this simple truth. Pause regularly to remember the simple truth. We are all eternal beings who will never die. We are souls in a body who will only change form. We will be reborn again if we want to or not. If and when we have enough awareness, we can choose to master this experience and then experience anything we want to. The infinite quality of our being is obvious and very real. It is just like the sun, always shining, always bright, and super warm. And yet, the sun is a grand understatement. A grand understatement to describe the brilliance of who we really are. When we discover the true enormity inside ourselves, everything will change. And this outer world will no longer impact you in a negative, fearful way. This universe will welcome you to explore this limitless divine self everywhere you go on its playground. So try this for the next 7 days. Choose to or not. Anytime you start getting stressed out about something, practice celebrating what is. Simply say to yourself, I choose to celebrate existence right now. I choose to celebrate existence right now. Life is just too good to not make this choice, even if we don't understand why. Look for the deep eternal loving that is hidden behind this so-called problem and celebrate it as an opportunity for growth. It is your chance to quiet your mind and realize your infinite nature. Remind yourself, when you notice stress arising inside, that you are an infinite being that will not die. Notice what happens. Play with this and welcome all that life challenges you. Our job is to intimately know ourselves as that which is permanent and can never be harmed, hurt, or changed. It's the movement that we choose to move with and into. It's the movement of the now that we choose to be in. It isn't the movement of yesterday or tomorrow that we choose not to be in. Can you see the difference of this civilization? Most of the civilization chooses to be in the yesterday and tomorrow of the ego mind. It's apparent. We know that. And we know this. And in the judgment, we have all been there many lifetimes. But then, you come across those that are completely the opposite, that always live in the now. You ever come across anybody, and I don't, not the ones that are faking it, right? But the ones that you can genuinely sense look at life from a whole different perspective. Okay. They just don't seem to be worried, stressed, or fearful. You ever come across anybody like that? And you know they're genuine. It's not some kind of an act. See, it's so unusual to come across someone like that. What does our mind immediately do? This is a put on. This is some kind of act. No one can be this way. You ever done that? Yeah? You ever experienced that? No one could possibly be this way. I mean, they don't take life really seriously. They seem to be just happy, and they just seem to just kind of bop along. And they, for some reason, they always seem to be in the present moment, and they're never wandering off into the future or the past. And see, you can feel that within them. I enjoy my life today because I could be out of the body tomorrow. It's amazing how many souls make this statement. I mean, the ones out of the body, okay, make this statement once they get their wits about them. I can't believe I spent this whole lifetime, mostly, worrying, stressing, and fearing. I never really enjoyed my life. I was so caught up in worrying, stressing, and fearing, and not loving the moment, the now, that I lost sight of the fact on why I was here. It's not a negative. It's not a bad thing. It's just experience. Many of us, when we leave the body, right? In the event, this is a heads up for everybody, and you can't remind yourself enough of it. In the event you do not discover who and what you are while you're in that body, you will leave the body with the imprint of being lost. You will be lost. See? And then the light will appear. You'll feel warmed, and you'll feel attention, and you'll go into the light. And then you see, here's part of the trick of the matrix. You'll see loved ones long since left their bodies and those lives, right? All there, plain as day, clear as a bell, laughing, hugging, crying, clapping, everything. Why would we, as the gods in these bodies, when we leave a physical form, it is over, right? Why would we carry the illusion of that form so that we get tricked in going over, right, after we leave the body? We go into light? Why would everybody be everybody there? Why wouldn't we just be balls of light? Well, that's because you won't, it's not going to scare you. Well, we know that's crap. When we leave these physical forms, right, and we are the gods that we are, balls of light, that life's over. We've ended it. It's over. That body's not going to come back. It's not going to reappear somewhere magically. So we move forward, and then we change forms. This is all knowing for us as gods. It's a self-discovery. And again, it's not a judgment or a negative. It's an awareness that we discover so that we don't keep doing this. Doesn't it make sense that eventually we're going to know all of our lifetimes? The good ones and the bad ones. This is how we discover forgiveness for ourselves, what we did, how we did it, through thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. And millions. So we have reference to all of that whenever we choose. So then when we decide to change form, we will give it attention by saying, well, I've learned all this, I've experienced all this through lifetimes. What would I like to experience now? You might combine, different parts of different lives as far as experiences, okay, that you didn't get, that you really didn't get a message out of, combine all of those, and then move into a new life and experience those things. We are not contained. We never have been. We come into these bodies and we inherit the mind and the ego, which are illusions. We inherit them. And we've all been taught wrong. Even though there's no real wrong or right, we've all been taught the wrong experience. Can we resolve that? Absolutely. Always celebrate. Always be celebrating the now. Always celebrate existence right now. You'll find that you will shift into a higher frequency effortlessly. The little saying that says, don't sweat the small stuff. Why sweat the big stuff? Why sweat anything at all? Like I said, this is experience in the now. I'm celebrating the now because I have no idea about tomorrow or yesterday. I have no idea. We experience, and then we say to ourselves, I did that before, it didn't work. And I really don't know another application that I could try that would allow it to work. So therefore, I'm not going to go there with that until I know a solution that will allow it to flourish. So we reference things. But you imagine always being in the now, celebrating the moment. Being in that body you're in. And being in just phenomenal gratitude that you're in that body. Okay? We can spend our lifetimes of stressing, worrying, fearing, which distracts us from celebrating the now. So we don't celebrate the now. We worry, stress, and fear throughout life. And some people say, well, worry, stress, and fear is good at times. We know what worry, stress, and fear is. All of us do. This isn't our first rodeo. It's not any of our first rodeos. We know what worry, stress, and fear is. Goodness gracious. We, the gods, have experienced it for eons in physical forms. Why would we continue to celebrate worry, stress, and fear rather than celebrating now? And you know what's interesting? You know that within your heart mind. You know that. You know that you have traveled far and long. You know that your journey is endless. It's not going to end. Sure, we put on suits, we change form, we experience, and we leave. And we just keep doing that. It's like we've said, where you might say to yourself, the God that you are, no, I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to incarnate into a tree. Because, it'll be a good break for me, and I'll learn a lot by being a tree. And that sounds silly to some people. But it is reality. And many of us incarnate as trees, dolphins, whales, birds, bees. It isn't about how long the lifespan. It's all about the experience of the form. When a civilization begins to realize that it is not the body, it is the everlasting God within the body, which means you understand that you will never, ever, ever die. This whole different ballgame. Whole different experience. And eventually, all of us will discover this. Emphatically so. All of us will discover that celebrating the now is how we can enjoy life every step of the way. Now, we all know the choice, right? We can choose again, because we've all done it so many times before. We can choose again to worry, stress, fear through life, in yesterday and tomorrow, and have the ego mind basically be in charge. When you go within and you go into the heart mind, not the head, not the ego mind, when you feel this vibration, you'll feel it. We all are feeling in our heart minds, not conjured, but naturally so, that this planet is transforming, that the civilization is transforming, and not in a negative way. An confounding, magna glorious, stupendous way. We all know what doom and gloom is, right? Yeah, sure. We created it for ourselves. Worst case scenario, all of that stuff. We also know, that's through the ego mind. We also know through the heart mind that this planet and its civilization are transforming into a higher existence. And the vibrational frequency is magnificent. And you feel it. It's a little bit, some more than others, some less than others. But you feel it. You feel it in the heart. You feel this, it's like a little bubbling of bliss. And we all know this, that what's happening on this planet is a major evolutionary step for humanity. Evolution. A species evolves when it's pushed to the brink of extinction. That's when a species evolves. You can research it, and in every instance, you will discover the reason this species evolved was to survive and move forward and expand and flourish. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Be still. All the great enlightened beings of this world and beyond became that way because they deeply understood one basic thing: their eternal connection to a divine source is and who they really are. Their eternal connection to a divine source is and who they really are. Take a few minutes to give yourself permission to understand this for yourself. You are an enlightened being waiting to realize it today. Take this with you for the rest of the day, and the evening and night, following morning. And we will return here Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call.